All right, welcome back again. This is DM Don talking about Adventure's Edge, and this is going to be part 3 in letting you know what you need to know about how to make a character. So I'm going to go ahead and share the character sheet again, and again we're going to cover some of the higher points, and I want to go ahead and dive into skills because Adventure's Edge is a skill-based system. It is very skill-centric. And let me go ahead and just bring up page 2 of the character sheet because there are multiple pages. In Adventure's Edge, there are a lot of skills, and you're probably, the first time you look at this may feel a bit overwhelming. I acknowledge this. So you have, I think it's like 21 skills. So in this game, you have skills and you have proficiencies. Anytime you want to do something in the game, you're either pretty much going to be making an attack roll or you're going to be making a skill check. That's almost all the skills, or almost all you're going to be doing. You're never going to be making a roll just based upon a stat. There are no saves in the game. Everything is basically passive in that sense. So because the game is active player only, is rolling. So let's talk about the skills. See, looking down the sheet, you can see all the different skills. So you have got complete control of what you want your character to be good at. Now, let me explain real quick the difference between a skill and a proficiency and what edge is inside the game. So whenever you're making a roll, you're going to be rolling on what your skill total is. So here you can see you've got 3 columns next to a skill. You've got your stat bonus, you got your skill ranks, and you get your skill total. And the shaded spot is what you're going to be adding anytime you want to make a roll. So let's say you have a 12, or not a 12. Let's say you have a 2 stat bonus. Maybe you're not too tough, and you have 1 rank in that. Your skill is going to be a 3. So if you're attempting to perform an athletics check, you would be rolling a d20 and you'd add your 3. That's going to be it. Now the stat bonus, again, this is going to be your stat bonuses from your strength and dex. So if you had a, and it's the average. So if you had a 12 strength, which gives you a +1, and a 12 dex +1, your stat bonus would be a 1. But if you had a 14 dex and a 12 strength, because everything is rounded up in the game, a 1 and a 2 averaged, while it may be 1.5, it's going to round up to 2. So the game is a bit forgiving in that sense, and that's why you have a 2 there. So skill ranks, every level you get points to buy ranks, and that's what I'm going to cover here. Skill total. Now proficiencies, these little check boxes here, are things that you are particularly good at in that skill. And if you have a proficiency in something, so if I had a proficiency in acrobatics, I'd have a little dot there. And the way that would work is when I wanted to make an athletics check, if I was attempting to do something acrobatic, generally in acrobatics is like, leaping through the air, swinging on a chandelier, maybe sliding down something, whatever it is that's going to qualify as an acrobatic maneuver. If you have that proficiency, you get to roll with bonus edge. And what that means is you get to roll twice, take the higher number. Now, unlike, say, D&D, where you call that advantage, you can get any number of bonus edge. There's not a game limit on how many edge you can get, but there is a functional limit because there are only going to be so many modifiers at any given time. It's pretty unlikely you're ever going to have more than +2 or +3 edge at the high end, just as long as you do understand there's not a limit to it. So if some bizarre situation arose that gave you a bunch of different bonus edge, yes, if you got 3 bonus edge, you would roll 4 d20s and take the best one. That'd be pretty spectacular. So that's what these proficiencies give you. They're things within the skill group that you are particularly good at and more likely to succeed at when you go making that check. All right, so how do you get skill ranks? So in this game, you are going to have a background level. This is going to be the very first thing you do in the game. So you're going to get, as your background level, 10 skill ranks to put one rank in 10 different skills. And these are going to basically kind of define what you did as what you learned in your childhood and adolescence. So this is like your pre, your growing up skills. What did you learn? So when you think about creating a backstory for your character, they're going to be based upon what did you do as a child. If you did athletics, like why was your character athletics? Did you do a bunch of childhood sports, that type of thing? Here come the dogs. All right. You can take combat. Maybe you took some fencing classes as a child, or you went hunting and you learned how to use a bow. So that would be a rank there. So in your background level, you're going to get 10 skills. And then in each of those groups, you get to pick one proficiency. So your background level, you're going to have 10 skills and you're going to have 10 proficiencies. And that kind of defines your childhood. So you'll fill all of those out. And that's going to be your background level. Now, humans get one extra skill rank per level, including the background level. So if you are playing a human, you're going to have 11 skill ranks for your background level. You still only get 10 proficiencies. Now, going forward, anytime you acquire proficiencies, the proficiencies have to be acquired within a skill that you have ranks in and that you just put a rank in. Okay? So it represents you developing over time. And you can never have more proficiencies in a skill than you have skill ranks. So for the life of your character, and you can see there's only, in most cases, you only have like 10 to 12 different proficiencies within a skill, but your skill ranks will go up over time. So if you wanted to be a super athletic character and you opt to put a skill rank in athletics at every level, including your background level, at 20th level, you're going to, you'd have 21 skill ranks in athletics. And, for whatever reason, if you wanted to have every single one of the athletics proficiencies, like I said, there's only 12 there. So that's not so big of a problem. So that's how those work. So your background level, again, pretty straightforward. Now, once you pick your class is going to give you additional ranks. So this is going to be your first level. So you're going to be, you'll do your background level, and then you're going to pick your class. Your class is going to determine what your 4 class skills are. So every class has 4 class skills. And what the class skills do for you is they give you a one-time boost to that skill of 5 ranks. So let's just say theoretically you pick a class that has athletics as the class skill. What you would do, so we'll see your background, you put 1 skill rank from your background. At level 1, you pick your class. It's a class skill. And then I'm going to change this 1 to a 6. So I've got 5 from level 1, 1 from background. Now I have 6 ranks. 6 ranks is the most you can start out at first level in any skill. And again, that's only going to be in those 4 class skills. So in that case, my starting skill in this character is going to be 2 plus 6 would be 8. Pretty straightforward. So you'd have your 4 class skills that you're going to get your bump in. Then in addition to those 4 class skills, you are going to get 6 more ranks to put wherever you want, except those 4 class skills. So you can't stack them. They have to be different. They can be things you got from your background. So you could have a lot of skills that you have 2 ranks in because you had 1 from your background and 1 from your level 1. That's going to be pretty common. Because basically you're going to have 10 ranks from your background, and you're going to have it's more than 10 because of your class skills, but you're going to have 10 skills that go up either by 1 or by 5 for your first level. And then you're going to add those together. And again, humans get that 1 extra rank. Then you're going to get, one more time, it'll be a total of 10 proficiencies for level 1. However, your class will determine what many of those proficiencies are pre-assigned. So you don't get to pick all 10 for first level. They're going to be pre-assigned based upon what your class is. So if you pick a martial type character, most of them are going to say you need to select 3 weapons, you need to have armor use and shield use, that type of thing. And that's going to be like 5, that'll be like, 5 of your proficiencies. And then it might say something like you get a proficiency in conditioning, and then you'll have 3 to put wherever you want that got a rank in first level. So each class explains what you get, and that is going to be your starting abilities. So you're going to have, it'll be total of I think it's 38 total ranks, maybe something like that, or 32. I have to do the math again. For when you start off. Then going forward, when you level up, every time you level, you're going to get 10 ranks to put anywhere you want, but only 1 per skill. But you will only get at that point 5 proficiencies. So your background level and first level, you get 10 proficiencies per level. And then second level and on, you only get 5 proficiencies per level. So you have to keep that in mind. So your first 2 levels are very formative about fleshing out how good your character is. Because then it becomes like, ooh, what do I really want to be good at? Because there's several hundred different proficiencies. You'll never have every proficiency unless you play to 40th level or whatever. I mean, I guess theoretically that could happen in time. We'd have to see how long somebody manages to play the game. So that's how skills and proficiencies work. Now, there's a lot of proficiencies. I would like to explain a few of them, but I'm going to do that separately. I want to try to keep these concise to the individual topics. So that is how skills work in the game. And then I'm going to break down a couple of unique skills just to pay attention to. So I'm going to stop this video and we will move on to the next part. Thanks again.